The 2014 NBA draft class was supposed to be one of the best ever, and most of the hype was centered around Andrew Wiggins and Jabari Parker. Little did anyone know the best player in that draft would actually come in the second round. It's already rare in the NBA for a non-first round pick to become a star. A generational talent who's currently in great position to lead his team to a championship? Nikola Jokic is looking like he's going to become the first second round pick to lead his team to a championship since Dennis Johnson in 1979. Why did so many scouts sleep on Nikola Jokic, and how did he defy the odds? Despite his 6'11 frame, Nikola Jokic really lacks the physical gifts of even the average NBA player. Everyone was raving about Andrew Wiggins and Jabari Parker when they were high school prospects. Jokic, on the other hand, could barely jump on a curb, and he actually couldn't even do a push-up when he was a teenager.
I mean, when I first started playing basketball back home in Serbia, Belgrade, I really couldn't do a push-up. And then I came here. Here I was really probably the worst body or worst strength condition in the NBA.
Jokic's pre-draft scouting report said he has very high basketball IQ, great work ethic, a strong personality, and was a team player. Because Jokic was playing against older and more athletically gifted players from the day he turned pro, he had to rely on outsmarting his opposition since he couldn't outrun or outjump anybody. Since Jokic's rise to stardom, he has become proof that you do not need to be the best athlete to be the best basketball player. He has almost everything else you look for in a superstar. Some of his skills include ones you would look for in a point guard. He's highly intelligent, has amazing court vision, and great finishing touch around the rim. Jokic has proven that even in today's space and pace game, being able to use your size near the basket is a skill that 100% still matters today. Jokic can also shoot from both mid-range and from three.
He hit a couple of those right foot joints that he shoot on me, like frustrating as hell. You feel like you've done everything you could possibly do to make him take a bad shot, and it hit nothing but the bottom of the net.
He's a good enough ball handler to bring the ball up the court, and he's a great screen setter. Scouts were very concerned about his lack of foot speed. They especially saw this as something that would make him a defensive liability, and they were not wrong about the foot speed. However, they underestimated how strong Jokic is. Jokic may have never become all defensive team material. However, he has proven to be good enough defensively during the Nuggets finals run because of his ability to be physical near the rim as long as he's not extending out to the perimeter. Having great defensive personnel around him has really helped him not get exploited in pick and roll situations, but Jokic himself has held his own with his size and his intelligence. At the time Jokic was drafted, the center position was dying. The pace of today's NBA game was speeding up, so slow-footed centers were being driven out of the league. Even with Jokic's many strengths as a basketball player, scouts didn't believe he could keep up with the modern NBA's pace, and they sure couldn't be more wrong. That aged like milk. Although Jokic is far from the first great passing big man, it's not normal that the center is the team's primary playmaker. We have seen a center lead their team in assists before, but Jokic is the first to do so for the vast majority of his career. It's not even just his elite court vision that allows him to do this. Jokic's big body also allows him to be a great screen setter, so he can get assists just from handing the ball off while screening the guy trying to guard the recipient of his handoffs. Jokic was playing professional basketball in the Adriatic League in Serbia as a teenager and was already making big improvements year by year. He was on the radar of NBA scouts, but most of them never could have guessed that someone as unathletic as Nikola Jokic is could be so great at the NBA level. A year after playing in the youth league in Serbia, Jokic became a pro at 17. He barely played in his first year, but in his second year, Jokic averaged 10 points per game. He also put up similar stats that year while playing 13 games in the Serbian league, which is the higher level in Serbia. Jokic was starting to get noticed by then, but was still seen as a raw prospect. Jokic may have not helped his draft stock here.
When did you first start playing basketball? How?
For real, I started last year.
This may have led scouts to believe that he is a project if taking basketball seriously at such a late age really did hurt his stock. Or maybe Jokic meant when he started playing at a high level and was misunderstood. Tim Duncan didn't play basketball at all until he was 14. Hakeem Olajuwon didn't start until he was 15. Just because they started playing late is not a reason to overlook someone. Despite being drafted in 2014, Jokic did not make his NBA debut until the 2015-16 season because because he spent another year in the Serbian league. This is not the first time an international prospect stayed in their home country after getting drafted. A lot of NBA teams understandably don't have the patience for that. In Jokic's final year in the Serbian league, before making his way to the NBA, he was the Serbian league MVP. Had he accomplished that before declaring for the NBA draft, it's very likely he would have been drafted a lot sooner than the 41st overall pick. Scouts would have at least noticed that he was making big improvements each year, although his lack of athletic ability may have still stopped him from becoming a lottery pick. Jokic didn't even stand out in his NBA debut, but he's one of many examples that prove it's not where you start that matters, it's where you finish. Jokic only played 3 minutes and 55 seconds in his debut, scoring just 2 points. After that, though, he saw more playing time and was good enough to make the All-Rookie First Team. Even after making the All-Rookie First Team, while showing flashes of his potential with 5 20-plus point games and 16 double-doubles, he still wasn't on everyone's radar to become a generational talent. This is most likely because the Nuggets are a small market team. Far less talented players like Alex Caruso and Austin Reeves have attracted a lot of attention by becoming reliable role players for the Lakers. There was also Linsanity in New York. Jokic didn't have any double-digit assist games and only averaged 2.4 assists per game that year. Still, from seeing the tape, he already put his passing ability on display in his rookie season. Jokic continued to improve his game every year. He finished second for most improved player as a sophomore and would make his first All-Star game in his 4th season. That year, he averaged 20 points per game for the first time as he led the Nuggets to a 54-win season and their first playoff berth since 2013. By then, it became very clear that 29 other teams had severely overlooked Nikola Jokic in the 2014 NBA draft. By 2020, the Nuggets were in the conference finals for the first time since 2009, and in 2021, Jokic became the first second-round pick to ever win the MVP since the NBA-ABA merger. Then, Jokic won the MVP again last year. Now, Jokic has his team in great position to win the NBA Finals. This is why those scouting reports about his great work ethic shouldn't have been so overlooked. There's no way he could have become so great without working extremely hard. So the moral of the story is, when scouting a player, rather than listening to how much the media is hyping someone and looking at their athletic ability, it's important to look at their work ethic and other intangibles. These things cannot be taught. Andrew Wiggins, who despite being the #1 overall pick in 2014, had his work ethic questioned before he even played an NBA game. While he has had a good NBA career, he just never wanted it enough to become the generational talent that he was expected to be. Jabari Parker has just never been able to stay healthy. At least Joel Embiid, who was the #3 overall pick, has been a pretty close second best player of the 2014 draft class. I won't go through the other 37 guys drafted ahead of Jokic, but there have been a handful of other good players in this draft class and some guys who just couldn't last in the NBA. Nikola Jokic was determined to defy the odds as a second-round pick from the very beginning, and he most certainly has done that no matter what happens for the rest of his career. I do also think that the Denver Nuggets front office deserves a ton of credit for not only giving Nikola Jokic a chance, but also getting great complementary players around Jokic that fit his game well. That will be for an entirely different video, so stay tuned for that. The best part for Nikola Jokic, he's still only 28 years old, so the story is still being written. As for where Nikola Jokic would rank all time among centers if he wins this year's championship, I think he'd have an argument for top 10 all time. I don't see anyone ever cracking the top 5 of Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Shaquille O'Neal, and Hakeem Olajuwon. I fully expect Jokic to be considered a top 10 center of all time by the end of his career though, so that'll do it for now. If you did enjoy this video, a like would be much appreciated, and also if you could please consider subscribing and turning on notifications. Love to have you as part of the team. Links to my social media are down below. I'd also love to read your thoughts in the comments on where you have Jokic right now in the all-time ranks, also what winning a championship would do for his legacy, and also what you think of his unprecedented rise to stardom in general. Here are 2 videos up above, my most recent upload and the video that YouTube recommends. If you would like to click one or the other, I definitely appreciate that. I'm sure you'll enjoy whichever one you click. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you next time. Peace.